guys, hello and welcome back to the SpursRelated YouTube channel and podcast. I hope everyone is doing very well on this Wednesday evening. Today, we have got some big news in relation to Tottenham Hotspur transfers and, of course, centre-backs. Less than 48 hours ago, I was sat here having an absolute meltdown that we hadn't signed any centre-backs, and clearly the club had seen my absolute distress and decided to act. So today, we are talking all things Micky van der Ven of VfL Wolfsburg, the 22-year-old centre-back, and we'll give you plenty more stats in just a moment. Today, I'm joined alongside Andre all the way from Canada and Jack all the way from Wacko Jacko land. How are we doing, boys?
I'm doing well. Very excited that we can finally have a video with lots of good news to bring to you guys because it's been a hot minute.
It really has. It really has. I mean, it feels like our transfer updates, our daily transfer updates just completely faded out, and we started to think, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? But finally, we can talk transfers again. The only slight concern I have is I remember doing a live stream about David Raya, personal terms agreed, and look where he's off to very soon. Potentially North London, but not Tottenham, Arsenal. Jack, how are you doing? You look very content there. Look a bit happier than the other day. You got some news.
Actually, you know what? I've got a bit of a smile on my face, James. I'm happy that Tottenham might actually be addressing a serious problem. And as we know, we don't tend to do that. Look, I'm not going to get too overwhelmed, too excited, because I think, first of all, the agreement isn't actually 100% there yet. And with Tottenham, I'm not going to get celebrating before he's actually signed on that dotted line. And I also think we definitely need more than one centre half. But look, I'm smiling because it looks like Tottenham could be making a very big signing, someone that would slot into that left-hand side, maybe left back or left centre half, as I'm sure we're going to talk about. And I think he's a very talented player, and we're really going to dive into the stats and where I can see him playing and just get a bit more enjoyment back to Spurs related after James was a bit of a frustrated figure, I think it's fair to say, yesterday, and we all were, really.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I had an absolute meltdown. But listen, today is a bit more positive, and hopefully you guys enjoy this live stream tonight. A lot of you have already said that you wanted us to go live tonight, and what perfect news we got today. Well, hopefully we'll get a here we go in the coming days. But listen, we've got some content to talk about today. If you are in the live chat right now, watching live, please do smash the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new, and whack in the comments on the live comments your thoughts about Van der Ven. Are you happy with this news today? A couple people in the chat already. We've got Felix saying loving the live stream, guys. Felix, loving your comments as well, and thank you for always tuning into these. Really do appreciate it. We've also got Zach. Some big up, lads. Great content you guys are doing. Looking forward to the talking point tonight. It's been a while since more news on centre backs. Hope you're doing well. Doing very well, Zach, and I hope you are too, my man. And yeah, very positive news today. Hopefully, it's not the only centre back we sign. We can get into that as well. But Andre, keen as ever to talk about the news today and what the official statement was from Fabrizio Romano today about 4 or 5 o'clock UK time, wasn't it, Andre?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, Van der Ven, the deal is in the final stages. Personal terms 100% agreed. And like you said, I'm a little hesitant because we were in this sort of position with David Raya, and look what happened there. But I mean, this is good news, right? We thought things went quiet. Clearly, Daniel Levy probably just saw how they were making you feel and your rants, and then they finally decided, let's pull the trigger, let's get this going. So yeah, final stages, a few little details to go. Hopefully we'll see this through very soon and nothing falls apart, as we tend to sometimes have that happen.
There we go. Jack, what sort of fee are you expecting for this one? Because I think it will be around £30 million. But what do you reckon?
I think £30 million is about the right fee. I feel like what we're going to talk into is it's actually Van der Ven has only had one season in the Bundesliga. The year before that, he was playing in Holland, second-tier football. So he's kind of a player who's come under the radar and has kind of exploded out of nowhere. And he's had a very successful season at Wolfsburg that has led to the likes of Tottenham and Liverpool being attracted towards buying him. So I think £30 million would be around the right fee, and that's probably the sort of fee we'd be expected to pay.
There we go. Couple more comments, guys. Keep whacking your comments in. Keep smashing the like button. Let's see what people are saying. Teslim is saying, I believe we are waiting to sell Kane, so we buy a centre back. So, Teslim, I honestly don't agree with this to an extent. I mean, we shouldn't be waiting to sell Kane to buy centre backs. However, there is a slight concern here. Van der Ven deal went quiet for around 3 to 4 weeks. Suddenly, when we're close to selling Kane, well, apparently close to selling Kane, not sure what to believe, we're suddenly back with Van der Ven. Is this club waiting to sell Kane to then get 2 class centre-backs? I don't know, and I really, really do hope not, because at the end of the day, I said it yesterday, with or without Harry Kane, we should be signing centre-backs in this team. We conceded 70 goals last season, or near to 70 goals in the Premier League. You cannot, at any level, whether that's relegation, whether that's mid-table, or whether that's going for top 4, concede 70 goals in a Premier League season. That is like 2 per game. That is awful. Considering who you play in the season, you play teams down the bottom that can't score goals, and we've conceded 2 per game almost. That is incredible. So whether we've got Kane or not, if we've got Kane, we're going to score more goals, right? But if we don't have Kane, we're still going to score not as many, but it doesn't solve the centre-back issue. We have to get a defence if we're going to even get past 10th place this season, in my opinion. Because genuinely, Conte worked some absolute magic at the end of that season where we got Champions League. I have no idea how he got Ben Davies playing pretty well, how he got some of those players just... It was just, to be honest, incredible. That's where Conte does deserve credit. Where he doesn't deserve credit is where he held a lot of players back. But I don't want to go off on a tangent on that. Just think, with this comment, Teslim, you are right, and I hope you're not right, because we should just get centre-backs regardless. It is unbelievable how there's this thinking that we have to sell Kane to get a defender. I know I'm going on a little bit here, but Cox saying final stage since January. Yeah, exactly. It's been so long. Van der Ven, I'm excited about this one. Definitely needs to get over the line soon. Exactly. We said pretty much personal terms were agreed almost, what, lads, a month ago? And here we are explaining it again, that personal terms are, deals in the final stages. Exactly. Couple more comments and then we'll get to the stats about Van der Ven, and hopefully you guys can maybe feel a little bit more positive. If you're not too sure who Van der Ven is, if you're not sure how he plays, we'll clear all that up. Jack's done his research on all the good sites. So looking forward to hearing this. Glenn is saying, hi, James, Andre, and Jack. Thanks for the update, Glenn. Massively appreciate every single video I see you in all the comments, and appreciate all the support, as well as Zach and Felix and all the other guys that are commenting. Really do appreciate all the support. And as you can see, there's that little badge next to Glenn's name. That is because he has been kind enough to buy a membership, which is down below in the description. If you guys have a spare couple of quid, that would be absolutely unreal. And we're going to do member-only shows soon, where you guys can come and give your say on the fan shows and also have exclusive content. So for the sake of a couple of pounds, hopefully you guys see the worth your side as well as obviously supporting the channel. But we do appreciate all the support. And Glenn, big yourself up, mate. Zach saying, I personally do not think it matters whether Kane is sold or not for us to buy Van der Ven. Exactly. I think Tottenham are trying to do what they normally do and get a low price. I don't. So I saw earlier that. Sorry, lads, I've just realised that I'm just talking and you guys are just sat here. But Van der Ven only signed a contract till 2027 in March. So his contract is fresh. He's got 4 years left on that deal. Hence why I think it could be 30 to 35 mil. Maybe he's only worth 20 to 25. But obviously that long-term contract, we've got to buy him out of that. So clever from Wolfsburg in a way. But of course, we're going to have to pay a little bit more. We're going to have to stump up a little bit more money, I believe. What do you think, Jack?
I think when you're buying a young player, I think Van der Ven is only 22 years of age. You're also paying a premium, because if there's talented football player, talented centre halves who are 6'3", you're going to have to pay over the odds anyway, because you're not going to be the only club that's interested. I've already mentioned that Liverpool were quite keen on his signature as well, but it looks like they've spent a lot of money elsewhere on their midfield. And I think 30 million would not be a terrible price. In this day and age, you're spending loads of money. Well, we know Tottenham even 5 years ago, maybe even more, spent £42 million on Davinson Sanchez. And look how that turned out. So I feel like 30 million is not too much money for a guy of his stature, of his quality. I think we have to pay it, James. Otherwise, someone else will.
Exactly. 100%. Andre, do you think we'll get this one over the line?
I think so. I think that between the Tapsoba and Van de Ven, if this one's the one that's working, I'd like to think it's because Ange is like saying that between the two, he would prefer this one. Obviously, we all would prefer if we get both. But at the end of the day, it's whatever Ange thinks he needs. And this is a pacey player. We've seen some highlights. You go check him out. He's fast. And that's what we need, especially in a high line. And the fact that we've had a lot of defenders that just don't have that pace. So he's definitely something different.
No, 100%. The pace is a massive draw factor, isn't it? At the end of the day, you know, we have been struggling with Eric Dyer, who's not quick. We've been struggling with Ben Davies, who's not quick. Longley got undone a couple of times last year, although I think he was probably the best out of the 3 or 4 of them. We have really lacked that pace at the back since Toby and Jan were in their prime, and really just, you felt solid with them at the back, didn't you? You felt like you could get a clean sheet in a game. I haven't felt like that since those two were playing together. I really haven't. I just think every time Tottenham line up with Eric Dyer and Romero, as much as we like to think Romero is this Rolls Royce, without that centre-back accompanying him, he is an absolute mess as well, I'll be deadly honest, because he just drives forward. I mean, we absolutely love it, right? He absolutely crunches someone, but he's a bit of a loose cannon, and he needs that stability next to him. And I believe Van de Ven could give that to him. Jack, I'm going to come to you about the stats in just a minute, because the only thing I am concerned about, having just said that, is Van de Ven is quite a progressive centre-back, and he likes to drive forward with the ball, doesn't he? So does that complement Romero well? We'll get to that in just a minute. Guys, I'm going to whack through a couple of more comments, and then we'll get to that. Glenn's saying they can't be waiting to sell Kane. It's rubbish. Next, they will say they're waiting to sell for the sell to keep the lights on. Van de Ven, Tosin, Adarabioyo, and Longley. What do you think? Andre? Is that enough?
I don't like that. I think Van de Ven is one of 2 really good center backs that need to come to this club, and I don't think Adarabioyo and Longley fit that.
Got it. What do you think, Jack?
I think it'd be slightly underwhelming, if I'm being honest. I think Adarabioyo looks like he could be completing a move to Monaco soon, with Axel Diassi actually joining Chelsea. But I feel like it's underwhelming. I know we're not in Europe, but we still are an attractive club to join. Ange Postecoglou can work magic with some of these players, and I feel like we should be recruiting higher than Adarabioyo, and especially Longley, who, let's be honest, was a decent centre half, but we need to set our sights higher.
Yeah,
and
I would say that.
We'll get. Go on, Andre.
Well, I was just gonna say, mainly, I understand we're not in Europe, but I think I've seen a lot of switches in teams for Europe over the last 5 years. I don't know why it's been like this. It's not been that consistent, and I think that if Ange has a project and we've seen the quotes, right? He's really good at riling people up and getting them to believe in what he wants to do. Then, you know, I'm sure if you bring the right players in, he's like, you will be the guy to bring us there, along with the rest of the team that we're recruiting. So come in. We won't have Europe this season, but we'll have it next season.
Yeah, no, exactly. Good point. He's got to build into this Ange project, and he's got to be on board with it. At the moment, it's not a mad prospect, other than the fact, you know, you've got this amazing training ground and stadium. But at the end of the day, as that famous Poch line goes, as much saying it, you know, you can build the best house in the world, but if you haven't got the furniture in it, it doesn't matter at all. You know, you're essentially, it doesn't matter. You know, you can have the best stadium in the world, but if you've got Eric Dyer playing centre back, it's not an attractive prospect in my opinion. But anyway, final comment until we'll put guys, keep commenting. I'll always bring up the comments. I'll never not. But until we get to the stats part of this show, what are your thoughts on the lack of departure? I'm going to start with Jack. It's a good question here.
To be honest, it's really worrying. I have to be honest. The only positive I can see is that we've got a lot of talented players in our squad. We genuinely do. Spurs have invested a lot of money over the past 2 transfer windows. Whether we like to think Levy doesn't invest that much, I think he really did financially back Mourinho and Conte to an extent. We spent a lot of money on players that haven't fulfilled their potential, and I feel like that's left left us having quite a bloated squad. So the likes of Ndombele, Lo Celso are still there, who are on loan. Definitely, there's talent in both players. Can Postecoglou see something in either of them or both of them? I definitely think in pre-season, Lo Celso has shown that he has all the tools to be a fantastic number 8. You've also got the likes of a Reguilon coming back, who could potentially play left back. Tottenham are starved of left backs at the minute. For me, if I'm putting my neck on the line, I really don't actually think Reguilon is good enough to play left back. I'm just not convinced. I would be more intrigued to see if we get another centre half and actually play Van de Ven left back. I think that's another option. And I just feel like we need to trim down the squad. I think there's a lot of players on high wages, which is stopping us from potentially signing extra players because we're wasting a lot of money. And I feel like we need to get rid of some of these centre halves. You've got the likes of Tanganga, Sanchez and Dyer, and all three of them are probably not good enough to even be in the Tottenham squad. I think someone like Ben Davies is probably coming to that age now, but for me, he's an established player. But James, we've got loads of, and Andre, we've got loads of players that probably aren't good enough anymore, and it feels like there needs to be some trimming to be done. But hopefully, we've got good enough players that have got the potential to come in, and maybe that's why Postecoglou's kept them around. Or do you think it's more Tottenham's lack of being able to get rid of these players on high wages? I'm not really sure which one it is.
No, yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Like, I think there's no excuse for trying to get rid of a player like Davinson Sanchez. We've had offers from 3 or 4 different clubs. Spartak Moscow, Villarreal were interested. We also had say again.
Real Betis were interested.
Exactly. There has been 3 or 4 different clubs, and we're sat here on 2nd of August with Davinson Sanchez potentially on our bench against Brentford. I mean, I don't think there's any excuse for that at all. You have to sit there and think like there's definitely an acceptable offer there. I think Spartak Moscow even offered 15 million euros. I'd say that's pretty good for Davinson Sanchez, considering, he's been a bit like Bambi on ice recently. He can't really, find his feet. And
I think we agreed a fee. So I think Sanchez probably didn't want to move to Russia. But you'd like to think if you've got 3 or 4 clubs interested, James and Andre, that one of them as well is going to match the price, because we all know if 4 people are interested in something, that brings the stock higher. So there's no reason why Spurs shouldn't be pushing these transfers through, even if it's for $1 million less. He's costing probably £80,000 a week on just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah, no, 100%, Jack. Couple more comments. I keep saying a couple more comments. This is why I love the live streams, because we end up going off on little tangents and get the chat involved, and it's brilliant. Felix is saying Udogie looks promising, and I would agree. I think he's got to be our starter. I think if we sign Van de Ven, the starting 4 will probably be Emerson Royale, Romero, Van de Ven, and Udogie for me. I don't know about you lads, but I can't see anything other than that, to be perfectly honest with you. Teslim, another great comment. He said, am I the only one that thinks we could have a Man U type season? Kane leaving, no Europe. I feel like the bar is so low, and that favours us, and Ange could really exceed expectations. We could go a little bit under the radar, exactly. Like, maybe our squad depth isn't there, but not playing Europe is actually huge for the Premier League, because you think when we progressed in the Premier League, suddenly we were just shocking. We even at the stage where January, February turned and we were playing against AC Milan and we knew we had no chance in that game, even though we should have done, our league form started going downhill. And then if you remember, Conte got sacked. So the Champions League and the Europa League has a massive, massive effect on teams. Lo Celso should be put as a second number 8 in Ange's squad. Our lineup is Van de Ven to cover at the back will be insane. Sanchez, Rodon, Tanganga, Reguilon need to go. I think you'd agree, Jack, wouldn't you?
I think every name you've mentioned there, definitely agree. Not good enough to be around the squad anymore, and we need to trim down this squad to make sure everyone's as motivated to play under Postecoglou.
Yeah, exactly that. Evening, Jazz. Evening, Adrian, and big up Felix becoming a YouTube member. Massively appreciate that, mate. I believe we're nearly at double figures on the memberships now, which is great. And like I said, as soon as we as soon as we get a few more members, we're going to start doing member-only fan phone-in shows. So you guys that are members can have your say. We'll do a show on a certain day a week, and we'll also bring you exclusive videos only that members can see, which you can do. So, like I said, guys, grab your memberships down below. It's almost like you're subscribing to a second Spurs-related channel, essentially. Think of it like that. So if you're liking this content and you can help us and support the progress of this channel, massively appreciate it. But Felix, thank you very much, mate. I'm sure the lads echo my thoughts. Guys, let's get into the stats. Or Andre, what is the next sort of talking point? I'll let you sort of lead it, but I think we should talk stats that Jack's sort of reeled off.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Jack, read us off some stats. Tell us what we'll be signing, hopefully.
Well, this is the thing. I've kind of took Andre's role here. We know Andre loves his stats, but I've managed to delve deep while he's done some of the extra work that's necessary here on Spurs Related. But I'm sure you all know Van de Ven is a very attacking modern-day centre-half. So we're going to start off by talking about what he's really good at, and that would be progressive carries. He's someone who's very composed on the ball, likes to step out from the back line and drive with it and look forward. He likes to play balls into the midfield. He likes to have composed centre mids to play the ball to. He likes to switch the play to the wingers, and he's not afraid to do so. So he's in the 93rd percentile for successful take-ons. He's in the 86th percentile for progressive carries, but this leads to a 73% pass completion overall, which is not terrible, but it also shows he's not afraid to play the ball forward. He's also 6'3", but this is where we also come onto one of his weaknesses. Okay, and I think this is really important to stay realistic. He is really tall, so you would expect him to be really aerially dominant, but this is not always the case. Micky Van de Ven also likes to wait off and let other people take the first ball, whether that's in the air, and kind of mop up the play, kind of get that second ball, which is okay sometimes, but you've got to combine that with the aggression. And this is where you have the likes of Romero, who probably will step in and show his aggressive nature. But this is when I'm reading the scout reports and the general consensus. This is something that multiple German journalists said was one of his main weaknesses. But one of the main things they said is he's very young, he's willing to learn. He's one-on-one defending is fantastic, and he's very patient. He's aggressive, but he also likes to sit back and is composed. So when he needs to make that challenge, he will, which is important. And his positioning for a 22-year-old is extremely impressive. So that's important. And like I said, he's extremely fast. He can play left back as well. And it looks like we could be getting a very talented player on our hands.
Well,
Like what I hear. Yeah.
I couldn't even keep up with all that. But Jack, fantastic analysis. Guys, do you have any sort of questions about Van de Ven? Whack them in the comments now. But Jack, I've got a question for you. I'm going to flip your stats back on you, mate.
Go for it.
I still, even what you've just said there, have a little bit of concern. I know he's quick. He's still young. He's going to develop into a fine centre-back, I'm sure. But do you not have a little bit of concern that he's going to be partnering Romero, who is an absolute hothead, loose cannon, will, run 70 yards to slide tackle Haaland in the 40th minute and get a yellow card? Do you not have any concern that he's also progressive and quite an aggressive centre-back as far as my research goes? And therefore, where's the solidity? Although Eric Dyer, I don't even want to see him in the squad again, let alone the team. But at least he sort of sat back a little bit more, whereas Van de Ven, he's progressive. Do you think in an Ange system we can have two progressive centre-backs? Will it work is what I'm asking.
So this is the thing, James. From the research I've done, he is aggressive, Van de Ven, but at the same time, he doesn't mind sitting back and wait for that opportunity. Like I said, one of his main weaknesses, which also can be seen as a strength by some people or can be developed into a strength, is that he doesn't rush into things aerially. He'll kind of wait to see and then attack for the second ball to start that second phase of play, which is an interesting skill because you'd like to think when you're 6'3" centre half, you're going to be wanting to win that first ball straight away. But he kind of waits for things to settle and then plays on the front foot. So for me, I think he's it's not a bad thing because he can be quite composed. He does sit back. He's not necessarily always rushing in, but like you say, it's something to be wary of, because another article I read is kind of interesting because different articles, different reports say different things. So the majority of people I'm seeing, guys, is that he's a fantastic progressive passer. But then I've also read another article that says it's not always progressive. Sometimes it's forward, but it's not necessarily the right play, the right pass. But for me, that was 1 out of 5 articles I've read. So I think it's important to take on different articles, but they're not necessarily always right. Overall, though, James, I think it's an exciting signing to get behind, and it's the start. He's also very versatile, which should not be underestimated. We've seen Ben White, how impressive he's been at Arsenal when he's able to play centre-half and right-back. Micky van de Ven could sort of do a similar thing here. If we sign another centre-half, they might be able to slot in like a Tapsoba or someone like a Joachim Andersen, I'm throwing out there. And then you could have Van de Ven to compete with Udogie as well. And then maybe you can have an attacking right-back in Porro. So I feel like it's important to have this variation, the ability to play different styles, which is going to make Spurs a more successful team when they're adapting to different teams.
Yeah, can't argue with that. I think you're right, and I think we need that depth if we are going to adapt to playing against other teams. It can't just be the obvious Van de Ven and Romero. I think we need that other centre back, whether it is Raya that comes in or, you know, hopefully Tapsoba. I think that's wishful thinking, but I think you're right, Jack. I think
he's also very raw as well. 22 years of age. He's only played 1 full season in the Bundesliga, coming from the 2nd tier in Holland. It's a massive step up, and coming to the Premier League, a very physical league. Luckily, he's 6'3" and a big stature. Well, you'd like to think he can adapt to that quickly, but it's also a risk signing. But like we say, James, high risk, high reward. We saw how good Dele Alli was when we signed him. Yes, he's had a fall off, but these signings do work. And I like a Kulusevski, like a Bentancur. So I'm really hoping he can slot right in and he learns the Tottenham culture straight away.
Yep. No, spot on. I'll get through some comments because I've got a little bit behind. Guys, the comments are flooding in. Keep smashing them in. There's 50 people watching across all socials. Absolutely loving the support. So I think there's 20 likes. Let's see if we can get that to 40. But let me get through some comments while you guys are smashing the likes and subscribes. You know, guys, I'll be strictly honest with you. I hate doing the plug-in, but it's all part of growing the channel. It's all part of getting those numbers up. And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't find a channel that doesn't say what I say. But Zach is saying, I don't know what you guys think about Skip, but personally, I don't think he's good enough. He has no end product. We need to aim higher. Just quickly, Zach, obviously we're talking about Van de Ven at the moment, but I do think you're right. And I've said it for a little while. I think Skip's, I've said he's Winks number 2, but I don't think he's that bad. I think he has potential, but it's only at a certain ceiling. So that's all I'd say on that one. Couple more. Chris is saying, lads, Chris, always good to see you, mate, by the way. He's saying, lads, as much as it's been reported about VDV, I am not satisfied till I see him holding the shirt. I think I'm the same, to be honest. Like, you know, we pretty much had personal terms agreed, 3 or 4 weeks ago, like we were saying, in June. And then we're still not over the line. Hopefully we get Here We Go this week. I rather fancy we get Here We Go by Friday. That's my prediction. Romero is composed for Argentina. Maybe it's because Dyer is a partner right now. That's true. Romero is much better for Argentina, isn't he, lads?
He is, but like, sorry, Andre, you take this one.
Oh, no, it's fine. I was just going to say that, of course, you know, he's probably very much passionate about Argentina getting him that World Cup, and he has, right? So good for him. I really want that kind of energy for Tottenham as well. I know there's been some interesting things that have happened where the timing of when he gets better from an injury and all that stuff tends to happen right around the window. So, you know, I really hope that he takes this really seriously and just really puts everything into Tottenham now, especially if we're doing, you know, if we're going to upgrade his partners.
Yeah, no, spot on. Exactly that, Andre. We have to. Romero almost hasn't fulfilled his potential yet, and I think a lot of the thing holding him back is, like you're saying, Andre, is that second centre back next to him. David's in here saying Postecoglou was already after Van de Ven when he was at Celtic. Tapsoba is being scouted by Tottenham for years, so Van de Ven will be a real Postecoglou signing. I think I've started to warm towards Van de Ven over Tapsoba. I think Tapsoba's slightly more experienced. I think he's a couple years older, but I think Van de Ven, being left-footed, can play left back where we're also weak, and a left centre back, left-footed. I would prefer Van de Ven over Tapsoba, and I'm not even just saying that because we're close. I'd still like Tapsoba, but I honestly think Van de Ven makes more sense for this club right now. What do you think, Jack?
I think it needs to be more than one signing. I think Van de Ven kind of gives me the Jan Vertonghen vibes, the Dutch young centre-half, kind of a low profile, not many years of experience, and then comes in and shows his quality straight away. So I really hope Van de Ven can do something similar. But I do believe he needs someone else to come alongside. Don't forget Tottenham's development in centre-halves. We really haven't invested well enough in those areas for ages. 3 or 4 years ago, James, we were sitting here 3 or 4 years ago, probably about 2 years ago, but with the amount of managers we've had in that time, it feels like 3 or 4. Yeah. But we've had the likes of Skriniar, De Vrij, Ruben Diaz, the list goes on, of all these quality centre-halves that we've missed out on, and we've gone for smaller, cheaper alternatives, like a Joe Rodon. I remember Joe Rodon was the alternative to Skriniar, and it feels like we're years behind in who we should have signed. So we definitely need someone to come alongside him, because if he's not of the quality, he's 22 years old. It's kind of a what do you call it? A future signing, if you like. If he comes into like a Chelsea, a Man City, a Liverpool, you're probably signing him as a 3rd, 4th tier centre half, who you hope kind of grows into the ilk of like a Van Dijk, like someone with that star potential, but you're not expecting him to come in straight away. So it's a lot of pressure. So I feel like you need someone experienced. Like maybe for me, I've said it before, I really like a Joachim Andersen, or maybe even a De Vrij, or someone who who can do the job straight away to come in alongside. I definitely feel like we need another one here, James, and I'd love us to push the boat out and sign Tapsoba as well.
Yeah, no, 100%, Jack, agree. And in a minute, I'm going to ask you guys your thoughts. Who do you think we should sign? Obviously, not getting ahead of ourselves. Hopefully, Van de Ven is done, but who do you guys want as well as Van de Ven? We'll ask those questions in just a minute, but I just wanted to bring up this comment because I'm interested to know what you guys do. I mean, I personally, I used to use Discord, but I didn't really use it for football chat. What do you guys think? Felix is saying maybe we should make a Spurs-related Discord server. To be honest, right, there's some other channels, Irish Hotspur, Spurs Talk Show, they have a WhatsApp group. Now, maybe we could do something similar and have a Discord server where we chat to you guys. I think it's a great idea. Maybe we'll make it happen. Let us know. Let me know in the comments now if you guys use Discord or whatever, or whether you use WhatsApp more or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. We can make something happen where it's like a community chat. I think it's a good idea, to be honest with you. It keeps us interacting while we're not doing videos, I guess. And there's always people that want to talk football 24/7 like us, right? So I think it's a great idea. Let us know. Glenn's saying Van de Ven will grow into a mature asset in the back line. He might be making a few mistakes in the beginning. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to give this guy time. I said it to someone earlier about Lisandro Martinez. It's not quite the comparison, but if you remember when he joined Man United, he had 2 or 3 absolute stinkers. That Brentford game where they lost 4-0. I mean, he was all over the place, and people were saying he's not tall enough to be a centre back. And I was just sat there thinking, I'll be honest, I agreed, but giving him 2 or 3 months, he was one of the best centre backs in the Prem last year. I don't think there's anyone doubting that. I think he even got in some of the team of the seasons, Lisandro Martinez, and he is a very good centre back. I'll admit it, but we have to give these players time. And Tottenham fans are so good at just jumping the gun and saying, me included, I'm not saying I'm not included, and saying, oh my God, this player is awful, I've had enough. But we have also, the reason why we're probably like that is because we're just used to absolute dross every single year where we don't get rid of players, we keep dead wood, and it's just a vicious cycle of keeping Eric Dyer for 8 years and keeping Ben Davies for like a decade. Like I feel like Ben Davies has been here all my life. I don't even mind him as a squad player, but it's like we've been using him at centre back for 2 years, and it's just like unbelievable. But I'm going off on one. I think you guys see what I'm saying.
The squad needs freshening up. It's getting a bit stale. We need to add a different dimension to it, this back line. Signings like a 22-year-old who is going to come in and show that he wants to be at this club and he's got a hunger to play top-level football, which he's been hopefully going to be given the opportunity to play against the best teams in the Premier League. And hopefully he sees Tottenham as a team that has the ability to climb that table. We've seen with the likes of Arsenal, with the likes of Chelsea, how quickly they drop out of Europe. They play one game a week, or potentially an FA Cup game, or a League Cup game. But then they climb that table because all they focus on is what they need to do with their manager to be playing this attacking football, and where can they see themselves next year. How quickly did Arteta do it last year under Arsenal? A lot of people were saying they're going to go down the table. They've lost top four. They've bottled it. And in the end, they started playing this fantastic football. And so did Chelsea. And it proves that if Postecoglou can really get his philosophy and vision across, then Spurs could have a fantastic year.
100%. 100%. Andre, I want to hear from you in just a second. I'm going to ask you a question. But guys, going back very, very quickly, not to digress, but apparently Discord's great. I used, like I said, I used to use Discord, not for football chat, but I think it's a great app. So maybe we'll sort that very, very soon, guys, for sure. Toxic Headshot saying WhatsApp. We'll sort one of the chats out. We'll decide which one, but we'll sort it out. Ian Bradley's asked a couple of times about Jed Spence, and I wanted to bring this comment up because it's good. We're talking about defenders. Obviously, this is more of a right back, but I was talking to someone today, and I was saying, do you think we should keep Jed Spence, or do you think he'll be loaned? Andre, you love talking about right backs. We love talking about Emerson with you. We love talking about actual right backs, not right wing backs. What do you think about Jed Spence? Because I actually think he's a solid little player and could do well under Ange Postecoglou. But I'm not sure he's quite ready yet. But then again, we said this about Rodon, and then eventually he's probably going to be sold. I can't believe Rodon's even still a Tottenham player. It feels like he's not. But what do you think on Jed Spence?
Well, here's the thing, right? We got Jed Spence when we were playing 5 at the back. He was playing a system that was 5 at the back. So it would be a little unfair to bring him in when we've got Porro and Emerson there before he would be given a chance. That's the first thing. The second thing would be that if he were to get a chance, it would have to be under this system that has 4 at the back. And depending on which game we put him in, we might be setting him up to fail. Not saying that he doesn't have great potential or that he isn't a good player, because I think he is. But I think what needs to happen is they need to loan him to a team that uses 4 at the back, and that'll give him a lot of chances to get used to being just a straight up right back. So that way, when he comes back in the following season, after having all that experience, training more under Ange in his system, he'll come in nice and confident, knowing what the right back role really, truly does. And that would be way better, because at the end of the day, say this season, either Emerson or Porro don't live up to it, it could be his moment to shine and show us that it's his position to take.
Yeah, exactly. But just going back on this, do you think he will get a chance, or do you think he'll get loaned?
I think he'll get loaned, and
I think so.
For all the reasons I just said. But yeah, I think loaning him might be the smart move right now. No point in having him sit there waiting for his moment, and then we set him up to fail or something, because he's known 5 at the back for the longest time. He's going to have to recalibrate to 4 at the back. And I think loaning him somewhere that uses that system would be way better.
Yeah, but then would you say he wouldn't then be able to integrate into a 4 at the back? Or do you think now is the time he should try it?
Well, I think now is the time to try 4 at the back. So loan him to a team that's going to use him almost every game, not to ours, where we have Porro and Emerson ahead of him.
Yeah.
And
so
then say he doesn't do well in the one game that we give him, then his confidence is gonna go down.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he's done pretty well. Like, when he did come on, he doesn't say the world alike.
I think talking about Spence and Sessegnon and players who are just not quite at the level and haven't shown it, in my opinion, they're not worth us talking about at this moment in time. We've got other priorities. We need to bring in these centre halves. If Hojbjerg's going to go, we need to bring in another centre mid, maybe like a Frank Kessie. And I know James is probably scratching his head thinking, why are we linked with a Conor Gallagher? But we need to address more serious issues, because I feel like the likes of these players are just not good enough. They're way behind Porro, they're way behind Emerson, they're way behind Udogie, and in my opinion, probably even Ben Davies on Sessegnon's behalf. And I just don't feel like it's worth talking about. Yes, they're talented players, but they haven't had a pre-season. They haven't had the ability to show it. And if they're not really showing that they've got the ability to start week in, week out for Postecoglou, then they're not worth talking about.
Yeah, I agree, but also we need depth. Although we're not playing in Europe, right? But although we're not playing in Europe, we still have the FA Cup, we still have the Carabao Cup. Those games soon come through where you're playing twice a week at Christmas. I know we had a much busier one because of the World Cup last year, but I still think there's going to be weeks where we're playing twice for sure, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and Premier League. And if at the moment, if you're being honest, right, and you look at our fullbacks, we've got Emerson Royale that's probably going to start as a defensive one. We've also got £40 million player Porro sitting on the bench. Is he going to be tried at right wing? I think he might. And then right back sort of Jed Spence and, not much else. Left back, you're looking at Udogie is probably going to start. I don't think Perisic is a left back. I think he was a left wing back temporarily. I think he's going to be more of an attacker this season. You've also got Reggie if he stays. But again, Sessegnon, not good enough. So you're really, really, really... You're lacking even 2 decent fullbacks at each position. I genuinely think...
And this leads us on to say why Van de Ven could be a crucial signing, because hopefully he's able to play that left-back role as well. And with Postecoglou's style, when you've actually delved deep into it, as much as we have high-flying fullbacks, it tends to be one that bombs on and actually one that sort of joins the back three or then drops into the middle of the pitch, which is really important. So they kind of need to have that tactical nuance as well. So hopefully Van de Ven, who's a young player, is going to be willing to learn these roles, and he might be willing to be the one that sits back. And then you can have Porro, who's, we know, attacking. His main qualities lie in the attacking part of the pitch, the final third. So I feel like it could be a really crucial signing, and I just feel like we need to talk about this as well, because the left backs, James, in my opinion, is one of the weakest in the squad. We've probably had other priorities, but realistically, Reguilon really hasn't been impressive. Ben Davies is, like you say, he's been at the club for 10 years and he's never really nailed down a starting spot. And then you've got Udogie, who's just coming in for his first Premier League season. So there's no one there that's really nailing down a starting spot. No. Someone like Van de Ven, if he can play 2 roles and play 2 roles well, that's going to be really crucial.
It's going to be crucial, but I just want to lead it to this comment from Felix, another great comment. He's saying it shows the type of club we are, and this goes back to my rant on Tuesday or Monday or whenever it was. Other teams would just buy Van de Ven and Tapsoba and just use the one who's doing the best. Now, I think to an extent this isn't right doing that kind of thing. However, there's a balance. You have to invest. You have to take risks. And at the end of the day, we took a risk with like Richarlison. I always go back to it. £60 million. Have we got £60 million worth of Richarlison? No, we haven't. I would argue we haven't even got 20 million, right? But at the end of the day, these big clubs are spending mad. Whether you think it's acceptable, whether you think it's right or not, that's just how it's happening, right? Chelsea are spending billions. Man City are spending billions. Man United are about to get a takeover and they're about to spend loads. Arsenal have spent ridiculous amount, probably the most in the Premier League, I think, this season. We are falling behind these teams, whether we like it or not. Okay, that's just a fact. And until we splash cash, I'm not just saying go and get Van de Ven and Tapsoba, but getting even one of the 2. Hopefully we do get Van de Ven, but then going and getting a new left back if we don't think it's strong enough. Give Ange what he wants. I know this was my only concern about Ange Postecoglou as a manager, because I almost feel like he's not that. He's definitely not that big ego like Conte and Mourinho. But Conte and Mourinho would push for what they wanted. Did they get it? No, they did not get it. They did not get what they needed. Mourinho didn't get the centre-back he needed. Neither did Conte. And here we are, 3 managers down the line, still talking about centre-backs. That is why we're falling behind the other teams. And Jack, you mentioned it earlier. It was a really good point. We are falling behind, not just in terms of like our squad, but our squad depth. And we're so many years behind some of these teams. Like, if you think about it, Man United have been doing this rebuild project, you could argue as far back as 4 or 5 years ago, even when they had like Louis van Gaal and people like that in charge. And then now they've got a midfielder, Casemiro. It looks like they're going to get Amrabat from what I've seen today. Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, and Amrabat. I mean, that's one of the best midfielders in the world. You've also got Mason Mount in there.
oh, it's what I mean, James, and this is what I was going to mention. We're saying like, oh, you shouldn't really buy these two players, but we're talking about spending £30 million on a week in, week out starting centre half. That is not crazy money. If you look at Arsenal as well, this transfer window, they spent over 200 million. They spent 65 million on Kai Havertz, who's been underperforming at Chelsea. They've also signed Joran Timber to be a rotational player to work alongside Gabriel Saliba, Ben White. You've got 4 centre halves there that are probably stronger than at least 3 of Spurs. The only one who's questionable, who could be up to the level, is Romero. And it's extremely frustrating to say that we're not spending that money. £30 million of money 10 years ago might have been a big investment, but in today's market, that's what you pay for talented centre halves. We could easily spend £40 million on Tapsoba. And when we're spending £2 million on Ashley Phillips and wondering about how much we can spend, it's really frustrating because Ashley Phillips, if he is coming in to be Spurs' 3rd or 4th rotational option, that is worrying. Yes, I really hope he does very well, and I'm sure he's a talented centre half, but you can easily buy another one alongside him.
100%. We're going to come on to Ashley Phillips in just a minute. But Jack, completely agree. And also I saw today that Manchester City are looking to get rid of Laporte, which we knew about at the start of the window. If you remember, I wanted Laporte as our option. I'd still get him, Aymeric Laporte. I've completely butchered his first name. I would still take him 100%. I think he's a fantastic centre-back who's played at Man City for a number of years now. Man City are just that crazy. They've got now Gvardiol coming into their books. They've got John Stones. They've got Nathan Ake. They've got Akanji and Ruben Dias. I mean, it's all 5 of those centre-backs get into pretty much any Premier League team. That's just, we can't compete with Man City, and we're not going to win a league until Man City.
Form, all 5 of those centre halves are better than any of Tottenham centre backs. Let's be honest here, and we still manage to beat them year in, year out. Sadly, that might end this year.
I mean, while you can, Jack, but yeah,
take it while I can, exactly. But their squad depth, James, that's how you become a top team. That's what you do. You invest, you get the managers to bring these players alongside, and you become an attractive option like Man City are. We're not expecting quite that level, but James, we need to invest in another one. I'm sorry. Romero, yes, he's good enough. Van der Ven would be an impressive signing, but you want these players to work with each other. You want 3 or 4 players that are going to push each other to say, I want to be on that team sheet come 13th of August, and I want to start that first game. And right now, the players that are competing with a Van der Ven are Dyer, Sanchez and Tanganga, and they're probably not even Premier League standard. Let's be honest, they're good rotational options. No, they're not. They're not really. I'm sorry. I'm in a positive mood. I'm really happy with a Van der Ven signing, but sign me some more centre halves, guys. Laporte would be a dream deadline day signing, by the way. That would nearly be good as a Van der Vaart.
KEB's just said Laporte's really said no to Spurs, and I do recollect that as well. But listen, never say never. If he needs a club, if Man City essentially force him out the door and they need to get him off the wages, he's going to go somewhere. He might not go to his favourite club. He might come to Spurs for a year. Who knows? I'm getting ahead of myself. Probably not. He'll probably never come to Tottenham. We're all just delirious as normal as Spurs fans. But we're talking about other centre-back options. Andre's been very, very keen to talk about Ashley Phillips, as much as it's not as potentially glamorous as talking about Van der Ven. But listen, looks like this one is going to happen now, Andre. Can you give us the latest on this deal today?
And I love how you set me up saying I was keen to talk about it. I'm just trying to get some news out there for the Spurs relatables. Whether or not I'm actually keen on this signing is a whole other thing. But yeah, Spurs have basically activated the release clause of £2 million, and they're going to wait right up until Friday, so the end of the week, to see if anyone matches it. And if they don't, I'm sure it'll be a done deal at that point, and by next week he'll be holding up that Spurs shirt. Whether he actually comes into the squad right away this season is a whole other thing. I don't know. Jack, how about you tell me, what do you think of Ashley Phillips? I don't think I've ever heard you say anything yet about him.
Well, so what you're saying, Andre, you haven't got Ashley Phillips photos on your bedroom wall, because I don't either. But I tell you what, he's pleased a bit because he looks strong and he's a year younger than me. So I hope he can come into the fold, because you never know. You sometimes do sign these hidden gems from these championship clubs, and I really hope he can be one. And if we've scouted him, you'd hope Tottenham have done their due diligence, and he might be able to slot in and be an accomplished centre half. But I'd be lying if I said I'd be extremely excited, because I haven't seen him play in any of the top leagues. He's not someone that's going to come straight in and slot alongside Romero and Van der Ven. But if he's one for the future and there is a ceiling there and there's potential, then yes, maybe he'll be impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, he's had a decent season. He had an 80% tackle success, a 83% pass completion. He had around, I believe, 14 games started in about 5 of them. You know, pretty good first season. Whether or not that's going to be translated when he heads to the Premier League is a whole other thing. I think we either play him in cups or we loan him back out. One or the other.
Yeah, I think, like you say, we need to improve our youth setup. And if he's going to do that, that's a way of pushing the real stars to come out as well. But no, funnily enough, I'm not extremely excited. And I don't know if that justifies £100 match day prize tickets. But you know what? I'm still going to be at Spurs next year doing the vlogs, because that's why we go, because we love our club. And there's always that glimmer of hope that we're going to see some great football. But no, I don't really think there's much to talk about Ashley Phillips. But any Spurs relatables that are really keen on this signing and looking forward to him potentially playing in a Spurs shirt, do we reckon he's going to impress us over here? And funnily enough, James, I reckon you're not extremely overwhelmed by this signing either.
No, I was just going to say, I think you keep saying, you know, we're going to see him in a Spurs shirt. I don't think we'll see him in a Spurs first team shirt. Maybe the Carabao Cup, maybe some of the lower round FA Cup games. But I really see this guy just betting into the development team alongside sort of the likes of Alfie, God, I've forgotten his name, Alfie Dorrington, and the likes of that defence there. Progressive centre backs. They seem to really, you know, come out with the ball very quickly, make runs. I don't know if you saw in that cup game that Tottenham under 18s won. Alfie Dorrington just came out of the defence, made an amazing run, and played in the striker to score. And that's sort of how modern day centre backs are going, more and more so. I mean, the keepers play with their feet, but some of these centre backs suddenly think they're a midfielder, and it's actually incredible to see, right? But at the end of the day, I don't think this guy is going to be getting into the to the first team. That's for sure. But could be one for the future, or it could be another Joe Rodon, and we're just getting someone on the cheap. Who knows how much research our data team has done? Apparently, that's what we're trying to do, isn't it? You know, be much more data driven and everything. But at the end of the day, like you said, I'm not massively excited for this one. But guys, let us know what you're thinking in the chat. What's the points in here? Big up yourself, Alex Scott Appreciation Society. I mean, apparently he's going to Bournemouth 25 mil, which is pretty incredible. Zach saying if we have a good season, are playing exciting football and make it back into Europa League. I see Laporte making the move to us if he doesn't get sold this window. I think someone put earlier he'd probably go to Saudi. I could see that as well, to be honest. You know, it's probably perfect time for him to cash in, even though he's still, you know, he's not exactly old, is he? No, far from it. What's the point? FC is saying I like Ashley Phillips. He's very tall and ambidextrous. Yeah, playing both feet as well, which is good. He looks like a young Theo Walcott. I've got to say. Every time I see him, he looks like Theo Walcott. Zach Birkin saying if we have a good season and are playing exciting football and make it back into Europa League. Sorry, I've read that. I'm going absolutely nuts. The Spurs Fan Society or whatever it's called are protesting matchday prices. We haven't even covered that. But yeah, the THST, Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, is protesting those matchday tickets. I don't want to, maybe we'll do another video on it. But I mean, the fact they apparently froze the season to get prices, and then put up the single match day tickets. I mean, if you want to go to a Category A game now, guys, you're paying £84. Do you think this, I mean, I can't go off on one now, but do you think it's worth £84 to go and see Tottenham right now in a cost of living crisis where we haven't actually bought another centre back? We might not even buy two, right? And we still need a lot of work done with the team. Yeah, it's exciting and we've got a new manager. Is it worth £84 to go and watch us get, you know, potentially rinsed by Liverpool or someone? What do you reckon?
I reckon that's out of control. And I haven't exactly got the money, but I still managed to get roped in all the time because we love our club, James. It's the things we do for our club. But like you say, I think Spurs fans have every right to be aggravated by how much the tickets are going to cost because, like you say, in a cost of living crisis is far from ideal. But like you say, let's wait and see. Let's get these centre halves in, and I really hope we can at least see attacking football down at Tottenham because that's what we're used to, that's what we deserve, and that's what I think Ange Postecoglou is going to bring. And a few free kick goals would be nice from James Maddison as well because that would do well for the Spurs-related vlog.
Yeah, yeah, it would. It would. Couple more points. Zach was mentioning about Ashley Phillips. He's watched 1 or 2 clips. He looks decent. Guys, we actually did a video on Ashley Phillips where we put some video clips on screen and we reviewed how he played. So go and check that out. That was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Everyone seemed to enjoy that. And the same for Alex Scott. We did that about a month or 2 ago now. So go and have a little look at other videos on the channel. One thing I did want to bring up is Saturday, we're playing Shakhtar. Jack, are you going?
I might not be. I might be in a tennis tournament, so that might be one I'm being missed. Actually, I'm a tennis fan as well, but Spurs is always going to be number one. It's always got my heart. But a man of many talents, or what's that saying? What do they say?
Jack, we'll leave you to think about that word. But all I wanted to say was we might do a watch along Saturday. So guys, if you want us to do a watch along on the offline comments now, comment watch along. That's that key word that you guys love me doing. Put watch along in the comments, and if we get 5, 10, 15 people that want to watch along, I will do a watch along Saturday along with the other lads that can make it. I think it's a 3 o'clock UK kickoff, so maybe even Andre can do it. I don't know, he might be at work, but let's see how many people are looking forward to that one. Guys, there's 50 of you still watching. Absolutely love the support, love the talking points today. Really appreciate everyone that's become new members and smash the like. Let's see if we can get 50 likes on this video. Guys, we will be back very, very soon. Jack and Andre, you've been great. And Spurs Relatables watching, thank you so much for all your support. Keep smashing the likes. Keep smashing the subscribes. And we'll see you guys very soon. As remember as always,
Come on,
Spurs!